What's going on, everybody? I actually saw some comments or like some hashtags saying TRAE4 Law School. I might change that to my actual channel name, but let me know what you guys think or what name you would prefer me to give the channel. But thank you all for joining me and welcome back to part 2 of day 10 of the Darrell Brooks trial. Now in this one, Darrell took a bunch of long pauses. Hopefully I cut all of them out. It was ridiculous how many times he took like 3 to 5 minute pauses between each question. Like, this dude does 0% preparation for any of these cross exams. It's insane. But I want to say thank you all for the kind comments. After I took that really long break, I don't plan on doing that again, and if I do need to take some time off again, I will let you guys know. I'm not just gonna leave you in the dark like that. That did not feel right, so I'm very sorry about doing that to you guys. But in this part, I got really frustrated about some antics that Darrell was pulling. Like, he says really stupid and self-centered things that after a while it starts to annoy me so much, especially when he does his facial expressions and all that stuff. I cannot take it. But thank you all so much for continuing to watch these videos with me, because I know it is a lot. Like I say every time, as I'm watching this and like I'm seeing how it's unraveling, I had to take a long break, but no one in that courtroom could take a break as I did. So I want to send nothing but love and prayers to Waukesha, because this gave us all a glimpse into what they were dealing with pretty much. But I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. I just want to say thank you to a few people that donated. So thank you so much to Kathy and Lee for a $5 buy me a coffee donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for sticking with me, for continuing to watch along. And thank you so much to Florida for another $5 buy me a coffee donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to Shelly Wienecki for a $2 donation. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying your last name right, but I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. Thank you so much to Peggy H for a $10 donation. I saw you mention that we should create a nickname for like our community, and I'm open for all suggestions. If anybody wants to leave names in the comments section, I'm more than okay with that. But thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to Theo for a $5 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching along. Thank you so much to Ruthie Tiger Girl for a $5 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me as well. And last but not least, thank you so much to Just Breathe Joyce for a $10 donation. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for continuing to watch along and for sticking with me as well. As always, guys, no one has to send me a single thing, but if you would like to donate to the community of Waukesha, there are links pinned at the top of the comment section. So if you're looking for resources to give back to the victims from the Waukesha Christmas parade, there are resources down there so you can do that. Okay, that's it for me. I'm not going to hold you guys up any longer. I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you.
Morning break appearances are as they were before. State have another witness to call this morning?
Yes.
All right, then let's have the jury brought out.
We are flying through these witnesses. Like I think in the last video we got through like 5 or maybe just 4.
Your objection to that is noted. I'm declining to revisit that issue, sir.
Is that a judicial determination?
It is.
Oh, she finally said, yeah, it's, it's a judicial determination. What's he gonna say now? He's stuck. I love how as soon as she said, yeah, it is a judicial determination, he just he gave up, like right away.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement calls next witness, please.
Thank you. The state calls Specialist Kyle Becker.
Good morning, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
All right, next witness.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Kyle Becker, K-Y-L-E-B-E-C-K-E-R.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you employed?
City Waukesha Police Department.
What's your job type?
Warrant Specialist.
And directing your attention to the date of November 23, 2021. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, I was.
What duties were you tasked with on that day?
Me and several other officers, detectives were tasked with being part of the search team canvassing the area for items.
And sorry about the volume, by the way. I heard some people, I saw some comments about the volume. Let me actually raise that up a bit.
Okay, and this is related to the investigation into the Christmas parade?
Objection, leading.
Yes.
Okay.
The objection's noted. It's overruled. These are foundational type questions, so I'll allow it. For the witness, though, please make sure you wait until I rule on objections before you answer. Thank you. Next question.
He hates foundational
So you
questions
said
for no reason.
the purpose of the team was to look for items, did you say?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, items that we believe Mr. Darrell Brooks was wearing the night of the incident. He discarded them.
Okay. And did you come up with a plan or a method to proceed?
Yes, we did. So we knew that he fled from the vehicle at 338 Maple Avenue in the city of Waukesha. So we directed our team around that area, and we were going to start on the 300 block of Maple, and we were going to work westbound in the backyards until we got to like Northwest Avenue, trying to look for items that might have been discarded by Darrell Brooks.
And what day was this that you set out to do this?
November
Objection,
23rd,
leading.
2021.
Was there an objection or not?
Yes.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It was November 23rd, 2021.
What time of day were you performing this search?
It's approximately about 10:15 in the morning.
Did you
That's
personally
great. They have to
recover
wait for
any
him.
items of interest in this case, sir?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the first item that we located was a blue sandal, or they also call it a slide, that was located at 322 Maple Avenue in the backyard. 322 butts up to 434 Dunbar, and in the backyards there is a chain link fence that separates the 2 yards. The first sandal that we located was our right-footed sandal, and it was on the maple side, 322 maple side of the fence, close by the chain link fence.
All right, I'm going to put up 2 items, photographs. First one would be Exhibit 94.
Go ahead.
Is that on your screen, sir?
Yes, it is.
Do you do you recognize what is depicted in Exhibit 94?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I do.
Tell the jury what you see in 94.
It is the blue sandal that was outside the fenced chain link fence area like I described. It is a navy blue in color, and it also had a Milwaukee Brewers logo album on the front of the sandal, which appeared to be like torn or worn.
And by the way, thank you to everyone in the comments as well that pointed that out to me. That's something that I didn't realize. So Darrell was apparently saying that he had on Packers slides, I think he said, and I guess he thought that would throw them off the scent of, like, once they found the Milwaukee Brewers slides that he was actually wearing, that it would somehow make them think that it didn't belong to him. Only Darrell could think that simple and think like, okay, they wouldn't associate this with me if it has a different team. But thank you to everyone in the comments that let me know that, because I didn't even catch on to that. I didn't know that he actually had a different team on there.
Do you believe Exhibit 94 is a true and accurate depiction of the area where the sandal was found?
Yes, I do.
And the exact location where the sandal was found?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I do.
Permission to publish 94, Your Honor? Well, wait, before we do that, I'm going to have you identify 95 as well, and then we'll put them up.
Go ahead with the next exhibit.
Is 95 now on your screen, sir?
Yes, it is.
What is shown in 95?
The navy blue sandal that I just described.
Similar, or how is 95 different from 94?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, you may answer.
They were the same exact sandal, just different pictures.
That's what I mean. What's the difference between the photographs?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Just the angle of where the picture was taken.
Okay. Do you believe that 95 is the accurate representation of where and how the sandal was found?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit 94 and 95 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
The objection is noted. Overruled. Exhibits 94 and 95 are received. Permission to publish granted.
That sucks that they have to wait for Darrell like
Ladies
that.
and gentlemen in the jury, let me know when it shows up on the screens in the jury box.
Like
Because
every
there's
time
the
they ask a
delay.
question, he has to wait and like actually look at him to see if he can answer.
All right, we're good. Go ahead.
Sir, if you could just orient us in the picture there. You had described in your testimony a chain link fence, correct?
Correct.
Does that separate two properties?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it does separate two properties.
And what are those properties, please?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The where the sandal is located right now, that is on the address of 322 Maple Avenue, and the opposite side of the fence, which would be to the south of that, would be 434 Dunbar.
Okay. So even though the properties above, the street addresses are on different streets.
Yes, that is correct.
And 322 Maple, can you approximate for us the distance that is to the location where the red SUV was found?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to sustain it as to foundation. I think another question needs to be asked of this witness regarding the red SUV.
Sir, I think you testified earlier that you set out to search the area around 338 Maple, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And what was the significance of that address, please?
That was where the vehicle was located that Darrell Brooks was driving the night of their Christmas parade.
Okay. And could you please approximate for us the distance between the residence where the vehicle was found and the residence where this sandal was found?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
This is an approximate guess. I guess around 200 yards.
Okay. The device in front of you is a touch screen. Can you please circle the sandal in the photograph? All right, thank you. And then if we could please display 95.
Before you do that,
I'm sorry.
any capture of this being requested before?
No, because I think 95 will do that for us, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Then go ahead. Next exhibit.
All right, now 95 is up, sir.
Same thing. Circle.
Sure.
Objection, leading.
Yes. Please circle.
Overruled. The witness may answer by circling.
All right. I'd now like to show you a piece of physical evidence that's been marked as State's Exhibit 86. If I could get the assistance of the deputy, please.
Oh, they actually have the
Present that to
slides.
the witness for me.
Is that, you said 86?
I was going to ask the same thing because I missed that too. Can I have the number again?
Yes, 86, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Exhibit 86.
86.
Not yet.
Sir, have you seen Exhibit 86 before?
Yes.
What is 86?
86 is the sandal that I located outside of 322 Maple Avenue.
One we are just seeing in the photographs 94 and 95?
Yes.
Okay. Move to admit 86, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 86 is received.
Officer Becker, did you find any other items of significance to this investigation?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
What else did you find?
I found another blue sandal which was a left-footed blue slide sandal with the same Milwaukee Brewers logo album on it that was worn out. And then I also located a gray hooded sweatshirt that had a multicolored design or logo on the front of the sweatshirt. That sweatshirt was the same sweatshirt that we believed Mr. Brooks was wearing during the incident.
So, Darrell's thought process for getting away with what he did is just, it's beyond stupid when you think about it. Like, he left his sandals, but he kept the debit cards, and he kept Erica's, like some cards from Erica or something like that. Pretty much like the main things that identified him, like, which, you know, once they caught him, they would have found out who he was regardless. But it's so strange. Like, why did he leave his actual slides in someone's yard, his sandals in someone's backyard? And one other thing I wanted to ask was, so with the timeline of when this happened, so did he, once he ran away from the vehicle, like he left it, that backyard where he left the sandals, and if anyone knows, like, please let me know, was that like one of the homes where he was like frantically knocking on the door asking for help, and then he left them there or something like that? Like, I'm not sure, just because like I kind of want to put those pieces together, but if anyone knows, like, you know, please let me know. But yeah.
At the workshop, right?
Where did you find these items?
These items were located to that chain link fence that was up before earlier. It was on the opposite side, south of that chain link fence, which would have been the address of 434 Dunbar Avenue. I was directed towards that area because, due to the fact that I thought Mr. Brooks tried jumping the fence, and that's how he lost the first sandal. So I was directed towards that area due to the fact in that vicinity there. So I was searching in the backyard of that area, and I located a children's playhouse. This children's playhouse was made of wood, and it had about 4 or 5 steps up till you got to the platform of the children's playhouse. There also was a slide connected to it that would lead down to the grass. I located in that platform area, I located the gray hooded sweatshirt that had a multicolored design. It's the same sweatshirt that we believe Mr. Brooks was wearing during that TRAE incident. And then in the close proximity to that sweatshirt was the other sandal, which was the left-footed sandal, which was a blue slide with the Milwaukee Brewers logo album that was somewhat worn. Matched the description of the one that we also found by 322 Maple.
All right, sir, I'm going to display on your monitor Exhibit 96.
Go ahead.
Do you see Exhibit 96?
Not yet.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, do you recognize what is portrayed in Exhibit 96?
Yes.
What is that?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
That is the children's playhouse where I found the gray hooded sweatshirt and the left-footed blue sandal.
All right. Do you believe the photograph is a true and accurate depiction of the yard and item that you described for us when you saw it that afternoon?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it was.
All right, we're going to go on to 97.
Oh man, I'm trying to keep
What
up
do we
with all
see in
these
97,
exhibits.
sir?
I'm trying to take note of all
That
of
is
it.
the gray hooded sweatshirt with the multicolored design or logo that I located.
In the playhouse.
Correct, in the playhouse.
Okay. Do you believe this is a true and accurate depiction as you observed the events on November 23 of 21?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it is.
All right, and then 98, please.
Oh man. Hold on.
Please describe.
This picture is obviously the gray hooded sweatshirt that I just talked about, and then also the other left-footed blue sandal with the Milwaukee Brewers logo elbow that was worn.
Is this the position of these items as you found them, sir?
Yes, it was.
And do you believe this photograph is true and accurate as it's presented here today?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Move to admit 96, 97, and 98, and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Exhibits 96, 97, and 98 are all received, and permission to publish is granted as to each.
He didn't object either. I'm telling you, he's given
And
up
if the
today.
jury would
Like,
please let me know when the monitors in the jury box also display what's on the large screen.
but he's let a lot of things go today that he normally wouldn't just like let pass by. Usually he argues about very
Thank you.
small things.
Go ahead.
All right, Officer Becker, could you please circle for the jury the children's playhouse that you've been describing for us in 96?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not requesting permission to capture that, Your Honor. I'd like to move on to 97. Oops, there's 97. Okay. And where's the, this is a close-up of that same playhouse?
Yes.
Do you see the sweatshirt in this image, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I do.
Please circle it. Are you able to see the sandal in this photograph?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And then we'll move on to 98, please. And those are the two items together in the top portion of the playhouse, is that right?
Yes, that is.
All right. Now
That
I'm
is
going to show you
insane.
these physical items. Please, Deputy, if you would assist me again.
He's making faces as if he can't
Number
believe what he did
84.
himself. That was weird.
No, sorry.
Do you recognize item number 84, sir?
Yes.
What is that?
Objection leading.
Oh, overruled. I'm sorry. What was the number again?
84.
All right. Go
84.
ahead. You may answer, sir.
Yes, this was the gray hooded sweatshirt that I located in the children's playhouse.
All right.
Wow.
And 85. Thank you. Please identify.
This is the other sandal, which was a left-footed blue sandal slide with the Milwaukee Brewer logo. That was also located in the children's playhouse.
Your Honor, permission to admit, or excuse me, move to admit 84 and 85.
Objection relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibits 84 and 85 are both received.
And I'd like to ask, with the court's permission, if 84 can be published by the officer standing up and holding up 84 for the jury to view.
Objection relevancy.
Permission granted.
So please hold up the sweatshirt, sir.
Objection noted.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to take a look at this.
The record to reflect the officer stood up in the jury box. He is holding the exhibit between his waist and forehead. That's the full length of a sweatshirt, and he has passed it from right to left of his body in front of the jury.
Thank you. And then if you would do the same thing, please, sir, you could set that one down, and if you could hold up 84 and 85, one in each hand, and display those for the jury, if that's okay, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
85 and 86.
Objection.
Your objection's noted. Go ahead. The witness is standing up still in the witness box. He is holding each one of those exhibits, which I believe is 85 and 86, one in each hand at shoulder height, and he turned a bit from right to left in front of the jury. Thank you, sir. You may sit, or you may sit down.
That is insane.
Specialist Becker, did you check with the homeowner to make sure that the property you just displayed did not belong to the homeowner?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I personally did not. Somebody else may have.
And how about the sandal by the cyclone fence on the ground? Did officers check with the homeowner at that residence as well?
Objection,
If you know.
speculative.
Overruled. If he knows, the witness may answer.
I do not know if I didn't personally.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
All right, any cross for this witness?
Oh
Yes,
boy.
just 1 second.
Do you want the items
I just
shown
have
up
a
by
feeling.
the witness, or can they be taken back to this, or actually brought to my clerk since they're now evidence?
Oh, you can take it back to the clerk.
All right, the bailiff would bring them to the clerk, please.
I just have a feeling this is
And
gonna
then when you're
be,
ready.
it's gonna be a bit on the aggressive side. Like, I just have a feeling it's gonna be on the aggressive side just because he's law enforcement. It seems like a lot of times when law enforcement comes up, he just tends to get more aggressive with them than he does with like a standard like parade goer or something like that, or someone that was injured. Like, he seems to go at them especially like with more aggression, pretty much. But I don't know why that was weird. Just seeing that he placed his stuff in a child's playhouse, it's like that gave me like a weird stomach twisty feeling. Like he went up into a child's playhouse and left his stuff there, and I don't know. But it definitely looks the exact same as what he wore in the parade, so that is what he wore. And he actually thought that naming a different team would throw them off the scent and make them not think it belonged to him for some reason. These items just being around each other, like in one area like that, they wouldn't somehow pin it to him. It's very weird how his mind works.
You testified earlier in questioning. Well, rather, let me back up.
No good morning?
You said the name of the alleged suspect when questioned about the alleged suspect fleeing from the vehicle. At that time, did you know the name of the alleged suspect?
Yes, we did.
And how did you obtain that information?
Here we
From
go.
the detectives working the case.
So you yourself didn't know until you were told. Would that be fair to say?
I was part of the brief, so I knew too.
So you knew before you were briefed?
Yes.
So you knew before you were briefed.
Here
Then
we
why
go.
did you have to be briefed about that information?
Just the gatherings, we briefed every morning, and the gatherings from the day before, what we were all going to do and stuff like that, and what every detective's working something different, so that's we just kind of gathered as a group like we do every morning and discuss what we all what we all saw. And
Were you a part of the investigation the night of the incident?
Yes, I was.
And what was your detail? What was your role in the investigation the night of the incident?
Well, I was activated for our SWAT team. I'm part of our Waukesha Police Department SWAT team, so we were activated at that time. So I was assisting in that matter for, at the time being, about the parade incident due to the fact of all the injuries and victims and unknown suspects. At the time, we got activated for our SWAT team.
And you said unknown suspects. What do you mean?
At the time of the incident, we didn't know exactly who the suspects were, if there was one or two at the time. So this was all really fresh information that we received that night. So
He's going to stay on
we
this
got
topic.
activated right away.
So is it possible that you didn't receive information of the alleged defendant until that evening?
I do not recall when exactly we found out who our main suspect was.
He's still trying to get them to somehow say that he's not Or how could they think that it was him if they didn't know his name prior to this, like prior to arresting? It just makes no sense. Even when I try to say it out loud, it's like it gets me confused.
In reference to the sweatshirt that you observed in the children's playpen, do you have any information on how that got there?
Not exactly, no, because I didn't follow the footsteps of Darrell Brooks that night.
And seeing as how that you were actively investigating that portion of the investigation, why did you not ask the homeowners if the items belonged to them?
I did not ask them. I located it, and then it was turned over to more of the detectives that were handling the case.
The question was,
make contact.
why didn't you ask the homeowners?
I don't know.
He was answering
Just
you.
didn't.
So it would be fair to say you didn't know who the items belonged to at that point.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We only saw him in a video wearing it, you know. It's not possible it was his, apparently.
You made reference to, and the word you used was belief. You made reference to belief that the alleged suspect jumped the fence, and I guess that would refer to where the slide, as you referred it to, was found. How did you come to the determination that a fence was jumped?
During my training experience, my main job role as a warrant specialist, I go out and track a lot of suspects down, and a lot of times those suspects also flee on me. Where I have to get in a foot pursuit with them. There's been multiple times where suspects jump over fences to try to get away from police. So that's why I came to that conclusion just during my training and experience.
Did you chase any suspects during your investigation?
No, I did not.
So it would be fair to say that you don't know for sure if any suspect jumped the fence.
What is that?
That is fair enough, but just during my training experience, that's what I believe may have happened.
What does that prove? What does that prove? Okay, I know I shouldn't have paused it because these questions, and he's been doing this since the beginning, but it's like a bit of disbelief, I feel, each time. But like I shouldn't feel that way at this point. He really just asked, you didn't see me physically jump over that fence, so why would you think that? Anyone would think that they see where that slide is placed right there at the edge of the fence. It's reasonable that he would come to a conclusion that you probably jumped over that fence, you know? And I believe they said like that the children's playhouse was right next door, so he was pretty much right, you know, that he did do that. But it's weird that he's trying to argue that this does absolutely nothing for him. But, you know, this is nothing surprising at this point. He doesn't really care to make a solid, like, argument about any point that could possibly say he didn't do this. Because there's no way he can say it. He didn't do any of this. So at this point, he's just trying to have a aha, I got you moment with everybody here. Like, oh, I'm smarter than you. You can't... You know, you said this, but actually this can't be, I don't know, just like really small detail. He just wants to argue about that. And I guess that's like how he's getting his excitement for the day. You know, he's in chains. So I guess that's how he's getting his bit of excitement.
So it'd be fair to say you weren't sure exactly.
I guess you could say I wasn't 100% sure.
And you testified earlier, and I don't want to misquote you. I think it was some question of determining the distance. I don't know if that was in reference to where the vehicle was found and where the the items that you found were located, was that the distance that was being referred to?
Yes, I believe so.
Thanks for that clarification. I didn't want to misquote you. How were you exactly able to determine the exact distance of that?
I wasn't able to. I think I may have stated it's a rough estimate or approximate.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know for sure the distance.
No, I do not know for sure the exact distance.
There it is. He got him. Checkmate. Darrell, that was a great question right there.
Did you at any time see anyone, I guess I will refer to alleged suspects, did you at any time see any alleged suspects drop any items?
No, I didn't.
Did you see any alleged suspects remove any items?
No, I did not.
And you stated that your search investigation was the next morning?
It was November 23rd, 2021.
And do you recall when that part of your investigation ended?
I would have to, it'd be an approximate guess. I don't know how long we were out there exactly. It was that morning and then probably early afternoon, I'm guessing.
So you don't know for sure. I'm really surprised he didn't ask that.
And was that the extent of your part of the investigation? After you completed the investigation part on the 23rd of November, 2021?
Yes, that is correct.
At any time after that, did you follow up with your part of the investigation where it was positioned in the investigation in full?
No, everything was turned over that day that I found the items to our forensics unit at the Waukesha Police Department, where they handled the custody of the evidence.
Were you ever, after that date, followed up with by any law enforcement after that initial date?
I don't really understand what you're saying.
After your part of the investigation was completed on that day, the 23rd of November, 2021, did any law enforcement officers follow up with you about your part of the investigation?
Not that I recall.
And you said you turned the items over to crime lab?
Fisher Price attorney.
No, it was a criminal evidence and forensics unit of the Waukesha Police Department, specifically Specialist Schmidt.
And from that point, do you know what happened to the items?
No, I do not.
Do you know if any procedure once you turn over the items? And well, I believe you said the. Can you say it again? I'm sorry.
That is
Criminal
insane.
Evidence.
Yeah, criminal evidence forensics
Criminal
unit.
evidence. Is there any procedure after that in reference to the items? Like what may be done to the items?
Yeah, they would place them into inventory at the Waukesha Police Department. So that's Specialist Schmidt's primary job role at the Waukesha Police Department.
So once you turn over the items, that's pretty much the end of your part of it.
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that these items have been kept for quite a while now? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Are items usually kept for this length of time in investigations?
Yes. Typically, yes. Till the case is over.
So it isn't unusual in any way to see items kept roughly a year or so?
No, that's not unusual, especially if it's evidence to a crime.
It's a really dumb question. I don't. Okay.
And what usually happens to the items after the investigation is complete?
You would have to ask the criminal investigations division, especially Schmidt, that handles those types of cases. I don't know how they release those items.
So you're not sure, to your best of your knowledge, you're not sure.
No, I'm not.
Do you recall making a report in this matter?
Yes, I do.
And did you write it yourself, or was it typed by someone else? Or?
No, I believe I wrote my own report.
As soon as he starts like talking about written reports and like claims, I think he's about to probably ask about a claim or something. I think he asked everyone
And
that,
you
not
stated
just
that
not just parade goers.
this would be called a canvas search team,
Yes, that's correct.
and you stated or made reference to it being like a SWAT team.
No, I recall that you asked what I did the prior day of the parade incident. Now, I just advised you that I was activated for our SWAT team that day of the parade incident, the actual day. The items that I located on the canvas search team was on November 23rd.
So, in reference to the SWAT team statement, what do you mean by SWAT team?
Our tactical unit at the Washoe Police Department.
And what do you mean by canvas search team? Can you explain what exactly is a canvas search team?
That is the group of individuals that we had in our criminal investigations divisions. It was a detective specialist. There might have been some officers too. Gathered as a group. I think there was about 10 of us, and we searched the area to try looking for items.
And do you wear regular law enforcement gear, or is there any change in the gear?
Yeah, regular law enforcement gear. So that I wear day to day, every day.
To the best of your knowledge, did you yourself file any claims in this matter?
No, I did not.
You know of anyone who's filed any claims in this matter?
No.
Have you at any time saw or read a complaint in this matter?
No.
They're letting them
Do you
ask the
recall
questions.
who you were subpoenaed by to testify in this matter?
Yeah, state of Wisconsin.
And who do you refer to when you say state of Wisconsin?
District Attorney's Office, Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
Do you recall whose name was on the subpoena?
I do not recall. I'd have to look at the paperwork.
They're actually letting them ask,
So to
ask
the
these
best of your
questions.
knowledge, would the state of Wisconsin be the plaintiff in this matter?
Yes.
And do you see the state of Wisconsin plaintiff in court today?
Objection.
Grounds.
Proper vague question.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
I thought they were going to let them ask all of them.
Is the plaintiff present in court today, to your knowledge?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevant, legally inaccurate statement, Your Honor.
Sustained for both reasons.
Do you recall having any personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Have you ever been contacted by the plaintiff in this matter?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
It's day 10 and it's still insane that this is his main like argument as to why they can't.
If you were to see the plaintiff state of
Charge him.
Wisconsin, will you be able to identify him?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
It's just crazy. And it's disgusting when you consider like the actual
Would you
reason as to
classify
why
the
he's saying
plaintiff, state
this.
of Wisconsin, as a human being or entity?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained, not relevant.
Just end the cross-exam, please. Taking a break to cross some things out.
Would it be fair to say this isn't your first time during your career testifying in any type of criminal matter?
Yes,
Yes, as in,
I've testified before.
I don't know, where's he going with this?
so it would be fair to assume that you understand plaintiffs and defendants, correct?
Objection,
Right.
irrelevant.
Sustained, not relevant.
Are you aware that only a living human being can bring a claim against a defendant?
Objection, irrelevant, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained for those reasons. And as to the form of the question.
It's not even true.
To the best of your knowledge, who can bring a claim against an alleged defendant?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained, not relevant.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir. Any redirect?
No redirect of this officer, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
It is just crazy he won't just end his cross-exam. He has to do it that way.
Start,
Like, it's crazy.
with another officer, but I don't think I'll complete his testimony.
What I'd like to do at this point is advise the jury about what is to happen next. I'm advised that everything is ready to go. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now be taken to a garage attached to the Waukesha County Courthouse to
what?
view the vehicle recovered by the Waukesha Police Department. You will be taken to the garage by the jury bailiffs. During your trip to and from the garage, or while there, you are not to discuss this case with anyone.
Are we going to see
While
it?
at the garage, you are not to talk, and no one is to talk to you about the case except the judge. You are to remain with the other jurors. You are not to conduct an independent investigation now or at any time during the trial.
This is
The court is
wild.
taking
Okay.
the jury to the garage to provide the jury with an opportunity to view the vehicle, as it is not possible to bring the vehicle into the courtroom. Other than the vehicle, anything you see there is not evidence in the case and should not be considered as evidence. At this time, please rise for the jury.
Is Darrell going
The
to go?
jury bailiffs will wait until further instructed as to when to bring them over.
I think I saw some comments saying that Darrell does go to the garage as well. But I'm interested to see like what he's
Question was
going to
asked
do.
about
If
whether
they're going
they
to
should
show
bring
that
notebooks, and I
process
instructed
of
that
what.
they should not.
But I believe the way she said they're going to do it is they're just going to record that and then bring it back. And that's what we're all going to see. So I don't think like they're going to carry the camera physically like the court cameras in there to record the process as they're walking
I
to.
think you'd be seated.
Yeah.
We will be in recess while the court and the parties participate or at least observe the jury view. And given that it's 11:35, unless something unanticipated happens that I would need to put on the record right away, then we also will be taking the lunch break after the jury view. I believe we'll be over there for, let me put it this way, I don't think the process is going to take more than a half hour. I think it will take much less than that. I think what might take more is just getting all of us there and situated. But let's say it takes us to noon, we'll take an hour for lunch, so I would expect the parties to be back here at 1. All right, thank you, everyone.
And Darrell's trying to ask questions. I knew that was going to happen, but Okay, so I don't think they're gonna like physically carry the cameras. I mean, she just said it now. So I guess they're gonna video record it and then bring it back in, and then we'll be able to see that as like the evidence instead of, because they can't bring it in the courtroom, as she said. But I know Darrell's gonna try something. I mean, right now, like right before they muted, he was trying to get something started. So I can only imagine what he's doing right now, but I'm pretty sure like he's not gonna let this be a smooth process, like he never does. So we might come back and he's just in the other courtroom or something. Like that's what I imagine is probably gonna happen. We just come back and he's in the other courtroom or something. But I'll go ahead and skip over.
Back on the record.
Okay, we're back.
It is just after 1 p.m. Appearances are as they have been. I do want to make a very brief record regarding the jury view.
Darrell's
he did something. Madam Reporter take her steno machine and make or take a contemporaneous record of the little bit that was said while we were there. I can state for the record, and I also had Madam Clerk take some minutes. The court arrived at 11:44. The state arrived. The defendant arrived shortly thereafter. The parties were each given an opportunity to do a walk around before the jury came in. The defendant did that. And then I walked around as well with my clerk. And then we all were positioned in various locations within the garage. The belly chains and handcuffs were removed from Mr. Brooks. He did not have leg restraints on that I could see. And so when the jury was brought in, he was not in any of that. And then I instructed the jurors at that point, our civilian bailiff, Michael, was in the lead. I said, please come in, walk around the vehicle one time slowly with the jurors, and then exit. That is what they did. 2 videos were made. One was prior to anyone being in there. It was just the sheriff's department personnel, I should say prior to the parties being in there. And they took a video of the garage and then a walk around the vehicle that was provided to me at the conclusion. It was on a large type drive. And then I provided that to Mike Nyman and Zach Tremaine, who then provided that to the media. And then the second part where we all were in there and the jury came through, that was also captured on video. All of that was put on a flash drive and will be marked as Court's Exhibit 1. Along with the docket entries Madam Clerk will make. And then, of course, if need be, if a transcript is ever needed, I did document a few things as we went through that process. So that there's that contemporaneous record as well. Any party feel the need to add to the record I've just made from the state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
From you, sir?
Not to that, no.
Okay, thank you then.
Day 10 is so weird.
All right,
it's so weird
then I
things
know
that
the
he's
jury
doing.
is ready to be brought back out. I believe the state has additional witnesses.
We do, Your Honor, and I have another large poster board that I'd like to show at the next witness. So I don't know if you'd like us to put it up on the witness stand now before they come out, or
Do we need the easel for that?
yeah, we'll need the easel too.
All right, since there's no jury out, you can put that on the witness stand now.
Thank you.
Maybe put it facing backwards, and then that will be there for the next witness.
Sure, thank you.
All right, and then anything from you, sir?
In regards to this,
Any other preliminary matters that you are asking the court to address?
Oh, no. Go ahead and say
were
it.
my filings actually filed?
You're talking about from this morning?
Yes.
Have they been scanned in so that you can get the originals back? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I will ask Madam Clerk if that has happened.
They have.
All right.
It has.
Let me see. I think in our papers that we have been keeping, there might have been another filing from you, so whatever we have, they've all been entered into the record, and you're getting back as a courtesy those filings.
That was the one this morning, and then these are the two originals that I had not given back yet. There were two that I gave him immediately, like I scanned them in right away, and then gave
Okay.
them back. These are the two I was still holding.
There was two other ones, so I have one from October 5, one from October 13, and then one from October 19. These, just so we're clear, sir, I'm providing these as a courtesy back to you because the clerk's office policy is once they're scanned in, they are destroyed because then what's in the electronic file is what's kept. They do not have the docket entries though because you requested the originals back, so I'll provide those to you. Okay.
It's surprising how
Then-
long he's arguing today.
With that, we'll have the jurors brought out.
Subject matter jurisdiction, Your Honor.
Okay.
The court's declining to address that further. I stand by my written decision that was entered last week.
So we won't be proving it for the record?
I stand by my written decision that was entered last week, sir.
Judicial determination?
It is a judicial determination.
I know he's thinking of something else, so I'm waiting for him to, whatever it is, he's gonna, as soon as he finishes scanning these like documents right now, he's gonna say something else.
All rise for the jury.
Oh, never mind, the jury's here. Okay, he'll be quiet for now. Or they're coming out. Oh, and by the way, thank you all so much for the kind comments about the time off I spent. Yeah, thank you all for being so understanding about it.
Thank you,
am sorry
everyone.
for
Please
taking
be
that
seated.
long.
The state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state will call Detective Justin Rowe.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat.
Notes open.
First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Justin, Justin, Rowe, Rowe.
Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you.
All right.
Detective, how are you currently employed?
City of Waukesha Police Department.
Can you briefly describe for the jury your experience in law enforcement?
From 2003 to 2009, I was a security police officer with the United States Air Force. And then from 2009 to present, I've been a member of the Waukesha Police Department.
And your current rank is that of detective?
That's correct.
I'd like to direct your attention to the date of November 23, 2021. Were you on duty that day, sir?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall what your assignment was that day?
I was tasked with going to the Maple Avenue and Northwest Avenue area neighborhoods to search for items that may have been discarded by Darrell Brooks.
And were you alone in that task?
No, I was accompanied by a whole team of other detectives and investigators.
Before you traveled to the neighborhood, did you have a plan of action?
We did. We planned to begin at 338 Maple Avenue, which is where the vehicle was left prior to Darrell Brooks fleeing the scene south. So we had begun at that location and began to canvass our way south and west.
Were you present when any items were discovered that were relevant?
Yes, I was.
And just very briefly describe what those items were, sir.
Objection, meeting.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Specialist Spakowitz and I were walking in the parking lot of 322 Maple Avenue, which is a large apartment complex, and we came across a right-footed sandal, a blue sandal, up against a fence area that separates the Dunbar neighborhood or street homes from the Maple Avenue apartment complex.
Are you aware of any other items that were recovered during this effort on that same day of November 23, 2021?
Yes, a short distance from that sandal, some other investigators did locate a sweatshirt and a left-footed blue sandal.
Now, in addition to looking for items, did you and other detectives attempt to obtain video from homeowners and businesses in the area?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. It's foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, we did.
And do you recall obtaining a video from the school district?
Yes, we did.
And do you recall what building or buildings from the school district video was recovered from?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It's a building that's right on Maple Avenue. It's we refer to it as the School District of Waukesha. It's their administrative building, also known as the Lindholm Building.
And you obtained video from that location?
Yes, we did.
Did you also obtain video from homeowners on Dunbar?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, we did.
Specifically 435 Dunbar?
Correct.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. It's foundational. Sir, please wait until I rule on the objection. Thank you.
And I saw, sorry to pause so quick, but I saw a lot of comments. People were upset about her, like, telling the witnesses that they need to wait for Darrell. And I do understand that as well. Like, it's, especially when he talks, like, he waits a bit and gives them time to actually start talking. And then it's almost like he cuts in to he cuts into their testimony. So yeah, I can see how that would be frustrating. It's like you can't really anticipate that he's gonna do that, and so I can see for like the witnesses that's probably a bit annoying that, you know, she tells them that they have to wait for Darrell, and then that sometimes causes that bit of confusion where or not confusion, but that hesitation where they start to look at Darrell instead and to see if he's gonna speak, which he loves, you know. But I definitely see what you guys are saying with that.
And how about Central Street or Road?
Yes, we did.
Did you have an opportunity to review those videos that were collected?
I did.
And did you see anything of significance to this investigation in any of those videos?
Objection, second.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
I'm going to show you an item that's been marked as exhibit number 131. And we're going to show it on your monitor first, okay? So let me know when it's up.
I don't have that, so maybe that's new.
It's up.
All right, and we're going to just take it out of presentation. There we go. Okay.
What exhibit is it?
This is 131, Mr. Brooks. What do you know Exhibit 131 to contain, Detective Rowe?
This is a video that is taken from 425 Dunbar Avenue, which is the south side of Dunbar Avenue. And if you see on the near the upper left-hand corner, the northern intersection area, there is a red sort of blur near the bottom of a driveway right before the intersection. And that is going to be Darrell Brooks on that sidewalk, and he's going to cross the street.
Okay.
Hold on 1 minute. I'm just going to remind the jury, it's up for the jury to determine what the facts are, not what any witness's opinion may be. You will ultimately need to decide who was in that video. Go ahead.
And I should ask a broader question. The exhibit itself, the whole exhibit, does it contain, do you know what's in Exhibit 131?
Yes, I do.
Does it contain more than one video, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. I'll allow it. The witness may answer.
I believe this is one video of it itself.
Sure, but the exhibit contains multiple videos and
Correct.
Objection,
still
leading.
shots?
Yes.
Okay.
Objection noted. I'll overrule it. It's foundational. Go ahead.
What are you looking at right now, sir?
I'm looking at the beginning of the video of Dunbar Avenue.
Okay. Do you believe, well, strike that. I'm going to ask the assistant to play this video for you at your monitor, and then I'll ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
I wish they would have kept
Before you
that
do
answer,
that,
by the
for
way.
the record, how long of a clip is it?
I was just looking for that because we're now in a PowerPoint, Your Honor. I don't know that I can tell you exactly until we get to the end.
Looks like 9 minutes or something.
9 seconds and
Oh,
9.56 seconds, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
All right, so we're playing this for you, Detective Rowe.
Darrell with an attempted checkmate fails. But yeah, I wish they would have kept his answer about when he was explaining that it's Darrell and the red blur that he
All right.
sees. And
Were you able to observe the video?
Yes.
And were you able to observe anything of significance to this investigation in the video?
objection. Respectfully to you at that point.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, it appears the defendant is crossing the street.
This exhibit, I'm sorry. Are you aware of the other videos and pictures contained in Exhibit 131?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. Once again, please wait till I rule on the objections.
Do you believe all of the videos and pictures in Exhibit 131 are true and accurate based off of the videos that were obtained from the homeowners and businesses that you testified to previously?
Yes.
there it is.
Move to admit 131 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection. Respectfully to the video.
Your objection is noted. It is overruled. Exhibit 131 in its entirety is received. And did you ask for permission to publish?
I did.
Go ahead.
And he now has to start looking at Darrell to see if he can actually answer. Okay, we have a
For the
different.
record, Your Honor, this is a PowerPoint. What's being displayed at the moment is slide number 1.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Is it on the jury box? Okay. All right, please play the video in slide 1.
Let's see, I know Darrell's gonna come out. I think that's him.
All right, the video has played completely, Your Honor. I'm going to ask to move to slide number 2.
Go ahead.
Do you see what's shown on slide number 2, Detective Rowe?
Yes.
Describe what we're seeing in slide 2.
Upper left-hand corner, you're going to see another still image of the original video. And then below that, you're going to see a zoomed-in, cropped image of the figure that would be crossing the street.
Okay. Have you seen this video on other occasions, sir?
Yes,
And obviously, the zoomed-in image is quite blurry.
absolutely.
Okay. When we played slide 1, were you able to make out any details about the person in slide 1 that was crossing the street?
Yes, it appeared the person had a red shirt.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go to slide number 3, please. And you testified about receiving video from the school building at 222 Maple Avenue, is that right?
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
What is shown on slide 3?
Slide 3 is a view towards the rear parking lot of the Lindholm building, or also known as the School District of Waukesha Administration Building.
And I'm going to request that we play the video in slide number 3, Your Honor, in its entirety.
Do you happen to know how many seconds?
5.97.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may play.
Did it play? Yep. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Wait, I actually missed it too. I was writing this in my notes. Was that Darrell like in the back? I don't know if he saw it. If you guys can see my mouse, I think I saw someone run from back here. I'll go back like
7.
Thank you. Go ahead.
About 15
Objection,
seconds.
relevancy.
Overruled. You may play.
I see it, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's him.
Did it play? Yep. I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, we'll go to slide,
Yeah,
next
it's
slide.
tough to see that.
Lost track. We're on 4 or 5. Slide number. Going to slide number 4. All right. So again, the camera, or strike that. What are we seeing on slide 4?
So again, we're seeing a still shot of the previous video we just viewed, and then there's a zoom in function below that where it shows a cropped out photograph of a figure.
Okay. And you've seen this video yourself in person, sir?
Yes.
What do you recall about what you were able to observe about the figure or subject walking there behind the school?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The figure moves from right to left through the parking lot or north to south up until a fenced in, until it reaches the fence on the left side of the picture.
All right. Next slide, please. Do you recognize the image in slide number 5?
Yes.
Or is it 6? It's 5. Okay. Please tell us what you recognize this area to be.
This is also the Lindholm building. This is a camera that is deeper into the parking lot, which means that it will be a closer view of the previous video.
Okay. And, I'm going to ask that we play this clip, Your Honor, and for the record, it's a total of 20.81 seconds.
Go ahead.
Objection.
Your objection's noted. Go ahead and play.
It looks like he took his hoodie off now at this point. You can actually... That is so crazy.
Thank you. Please turn to the next slide. What do we see in slide number 6?
Upper left-hand corner is a still shot of the video, and below that is a screen capture of a figure in that photo.
Okay. Next slide, slide 7. So currently we're looking at a black screen, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what this video is going to show, sir?
Objection, speculative. He's black.
Overruled. The witness may answer if he's able.
Yes, it's another home security camera at 126 Central Avenue.
All right. It's a total of 20 seconds, 20.09 seconds. And we will play in its entirety, Your Honor. And with sound on this one, yes, thank you.
What?
Excuse me.
That is just... That is the
All right, next
clearest...
slide, please. What do we see on this final slide, sir?
Upper left-hand corner is a still shot from the video, and the screen that's been cropped at the bottom is an image of the defendant.
All right.
That's
That
so
completes
crazy.
exhibit
That is...
131. Detective Rowe, based on
Like, what do you even
these
say to
video
that?
clips that you obtained and the canvas that you and your team did in the neighborhood, were you able to put together a map basically tracking the travels of Darrell Brooks through the neighborhood that afternoon?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name in this meeting.
The objections are noted. Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
And I should include, do you know the location where Darrell Brooks was arrested?
Objection,
Yeah.
I don't consent to being called their names. Speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, I'm aware he was arrested on Elizabeth Street.
Okay. And are you aware of reports to other officers as far as citizens that had contact with Mr. Brooks in the area of Elizabeth Street?
Objection, I don't consent to being called their names. Legal.
Noted, the witness may answer.
Yes, I'm aware.
All right. Behind you, sir, is a large poster board that's facing backwards. I'm going to ask you to please assist me by putting that face forward on the easel behind you.
Can you please tilt that so that the court and Mr. Brooks can see as well?
Yes, and we're also going to put up the digital copy, Your Honor. I just wanted to.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll have him work off the digital copy, but before you sit down, Detective Rowe,
Sure.
in the bottom right-hand corner of that poster board, there is a sticker. Do you see that?
Yes, it is.
Objection, leading.
Could you help us by telling us the exhibit number? I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's foundational. I'll allow the question to be asked. Go ahead and finish your question and answer.
What's the exhibit number, Detective Rowe?
130.
Okay.
Thank you.
30.
Detective Rowe, do you believe that Exhibit 130 is an accurate summary of the travels and the contacts by Mr. Brooks on the evening of November 21, 2021?
Objection, I don't consent to being called their names.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Move to admit 130 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection.
I'm sorry. I cut you off. What's the basis, if you have?
Relevancy.
All right. The objection is noted. It is overruled. Exhibit 130 is received. Permission to publish. An electronic copy is granted.
Thank you. All right. Detective Rowe, I know we're back out so we can see the whole map at this point. We will zoom in a moment, but the northernmost event that's reflected on the map reads what?
Officer Skolton shoots that SUV at 4:39 p.m.
Okay. Do you know that to be accurate based on your knowledge of this investigation?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
And then there appears to be a red line from that point going south down the middle or right side of the map. Do you see where I'm referring to, sir?
Objection,
Yes, I do.
leading.
Overruled. It's foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
What does that red line from the star where we noted Officer Skolton fired, the red line going south, what does that represent, sir?
The solid red line is the route taken by vehicle.
Okay. And where did it go? What roads?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Go ahead and answer.
Vehicle traveled south on Northwest Avenue, made a left-hand turn to go east onto Prospect Court. Vehicle then drove behind some residences on Maple Avenue before coming to a rest in the driveway of 338 Maple.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to please zoom in on that upper right-hand quadrant of the exhibit, please. And specifically the area of 338 Maple, please. Okay. So you said the vehicle traveled through the backyards off of Prospect Court, is that right?
Objection,
correct.
accident, yes, sir.
Sir, please wait until I rule on the objection. The objection is noted. It's overruled. Now you may answer.
Okay. Can you just, that's a touch screen in front of you, so just kind of point out the area that you're speaking of right now.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes. Using the touch screen, can you point out the path of the vehicle that you just were describing for us?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Go ahead.
And when it came down West Avenue, right?
Yes.
And what road did it turn onto?
Turned east onto Prospect Court.
And then when it turns off of Prospect Court, is that a road?
Objection leading.
Oh,
I'm sorry, when it left Prospect, I'm sorry.
Sir, which question were you objecting to?
The last one.
About which way it turned? Or turning onto Prospect?
The way it was actually.
You know what? I don't even remember what it was, so I'll sustain it and ask the state to re-ask.
Okay, sure. At
He
some
doesn't-
point did the vehicle leave?
And that proves he's not even really listening. He's just throwing out random objections, which we already knew that. You know, at this point, we already understood. It was something else I wanted to point out to you.
Prospect Court.
I can't remember.
yes, it did.
When it did that, was it on a roadway?
No.
So the line you drew from south from Prospect Court represents what, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Backyards?
On the far right corner of the map, do you see a blue dot in the same area we're talking about here?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
And what does that represent, please?
The camera at Les Paul School?
And what's the address of Les Paul School,
Objection.
if you know, or the street?
Relevancy.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
I don't know the address, but it is right off Maple.
Okay. And you see just below that, there's a yellow dot with the name Wauwatosa Officer Sailors. You see that?
I do.
Okay. Now, you've stopped drawing your line there, your yellow line over the red line. You see what I'm referring to?
Yes.
And in that area, I notice the line becomes dashed. Do you see that?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. Again, please wait till I rule on the objection.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's the difference between the red solid line and the dashed line, sir?
The dashed line is the path that the defendant took on foot.
Okay. And do you see then, moving back to the left on the map, the two boxes in white depicting where the sandals were recovered?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
Is that consistent with your recollection, sir?
Yes.
The dashed line then moves, so there's two green X's, correct? You see where I'm referring to, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
And then the red dashed line moves to the left or west from the second green X, correct?
Yes.
What's going on at this point, sir?
This is a point where the defendant is traversing through yards towards the west.
Okay. And did we just see the video of him crossing the street there on Dunbar?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
Move up a little, please, or more to the back. Yep, there we go. Okay.
Clear the line, please, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Is the Lindum building on this map, sir?
Yes.
Could you point it out? Did we just see the two videos from those two cameras at the Lindum building in the last exhibit, 131?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
Okay. Keep going south on the map. What's the next event that's noted, sir?
Do you want, can we clear?
Yep, yes, clear, I'm sorry.
Thank
And
you.
maybe we can move further south on the map. Thank you.
The amount of detail just in this map, like they even have the locations marked of where he made the phone calls, which, let me see, talks to Sean Backler, attempts to use phone. Okay, so this is the address of, I remember his testimony, the guy that he basically just told Darrell to get off of his property, and like Darrell was really hostile with him during his cross exam. And he also kept saying his name, so that was hilarious. But makes phone call at, I'm trying to remember, is this the one where they collected the doorbell footage? They're probably gonna get into that. I'll just keep it playing
First,
while like I try to
what I
work
see is
through
makes
that.
phone call at 4:47 p.m. Dominic Capron at 417 Central Avenue.
Okay, is that the location of Central Avenue, sir? I'm
Yes.
sorry, 417 Central Avenue?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And are you aware of conversation also reported by Sean Backler at his residence on Central Avenue?
Yes.
Is his residence shown on the map, sir?
Yes.
Can you please circle these two conversations that you just identified for us?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may indicate on the map.
Okay. Now I see the dash line moving to the west again. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
What's happening in this area, please?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
This is the camera at 126 Central Avenue. Mr. Brooks is seen on camera moving to the west at 4:48 p.m.
Was that in Exhibit 131 that we just showed the jury?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Which video was that one? Do you remember?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
It was the, I believe it was the last video that we had watched prior to showing the map.
Okay. Now at this point the dash line ends. Is that right?
That's correct.
Why is that?
Objection speculative.
I'll allow the witness to give his opinion.
Because we don't have any indication as to where or when Mr. Brooks crossed West Avenue to get to Elizabeth Street.
Are you aware that there was a reported contact between Mr. Brooks and a witness identified as Aaron Cordes?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I'm aware.
And is that area where that meeting occurred depicted on this map?
Yes, it is.
Where did that meeting occur?
It happened just west of Northwest Avenue on Elizabeth Street.
And is Aries Industries shown on this map, sir?
Yes, it is.
Could you identify Aries Industries? Are you aware of video from that location showing person appearing to be Mr. Brooks approaching the front door lobby of the business?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Noted. The witness may answer.
Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, the last red X on the bottom left corner there, what does that depict, sir?
That depicts 553 Elizabeth Street, the location of arrest, which was at 5:14 p.m. And that is the residence of Daniel Ryder. And Mr. Brooks makes and receives a phone call at 5:03 to 5:05 p.m.
Okay, so now it makes sense to me. I guess like the break in the dash lines, like they said, it kind of confused me because I was thinking like this is where he got arrested somewhere in here, but then that wouldn't make sense because they have the stuff going on off to the side here. But basically, so this is the guy who gave Darrell like a sandwich and a jacket and allowed him to make a phone call. And then this is one of the parade goers. She actually saw the moment that Officer Skolton shot at the vehicle, and her husband, I think she had kids, they were walking back to their vehicle, I think, down Elizabeth Street. And they actually encountered Darrell at that moment. So, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Do you believe this map is an accurate documentation of the investigation, again, as to the travel of Darrell Brooks this evening, on the evening of November 21?
Objection speculative, and I don't consent to being called that name.
Your objections are noted. Overruled. The witness may answer.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you believe this map is an accurate summary of the travel and whereabouts of Darrell Brooks at various points on the evening of November 21.
Objection, speculative, and I don't consent to being called that name.
Your objections are noted. They are overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Detective. I don't have any other questions.
Any
I have no
cross-exam for
idea.
this witness, sir?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Begin when you're ready.
No idea what he's gonna ask him, but I'd imagine it's gonna be pretty much similar to the last
Officer
cross
Rowe,
exam.
You repeatedly referred to the alleged defendant's name. How did you come into that
Oh
information?
boy.
Based on the entirety of the investigation,
And when did you come into the knowledge of the alleged defendant's name?
I don't remember.
When did your part of the investigation start?
After he drove the SUV through the parade, I was called at home to come in and help the departments with the investigation.
And just so we
That's a powerful statement right there. He looked the jury directly in their faces and said, when he drove through the parade, that is incredible stuff. And I'm glad that he had that, I'm glad he had kind of that personal, like, interaction with them where he says directly to them, when he drove through the parade. I know early on I asked about, like, why a lot of people look directly at the jury, but for things like that, it makes a lot of sense, and I finally understand it. It's like they're speaking directly to them because they are. And hold on, I want to see what Darrell is going to say, because he was just about to, I'm sure, throw a tantrum for that, so let's see what he
With
has
the
to say.
investigation.
And just so we clear for the record, is the jury asking you questions or me?
I'm sorry, I did not.
He's such a baby. He's a child. His feelings are hurt because he won't look at him. What a man-child
Well, I
you
was
are.
referring to when I ask a question, he turns towards the jury as if they're the ones asking the question.
What does that matter?
That's not a question, Your Honor.
It is a question.
We did ask a question about that.
Yes.
I think you're asking, why does he do that? To that extent, the witness may answer.
That
I'm
has
here to present
nothing
the
to do
case
with
to
this.
the jury.
So
That is insane. His little feelings are hurt again.
I follow that fundamentally.
They're always hurt.
But for the sake of making sure you hear the questions right, wouldn't it be fair to say that you should pay attention to the questions being answered?
Objection,
Being asked,
argumentative,
rather?
assumes the fact, not in evidence.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
You know what? Just for that, I hope he never looks at him again, like during
Wouldn't
the...
it make sense to focus on the questions so you can hear them clearly?
Objection, argumentative, still assumes the fact, not in evidence.
Sustained.
I can't believe this right now. Keep looking at the jury, please. That is like
You
the
made
most
reference to
narcissistic thing.
Being here to present the case to the jury.
What a baby, man. You're just
So is that the
straight
reason
up
why
clown.
you decided to testify?
Objection to the relevance.
Grounds?
Oh, overruled. The witness may answer.
I don't understand your question.
Were you able to hear my question clearly?
I don't understand your question.
Were you able to hear my question clearly?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained. Next question, please. Or rephrase the previous question to the one that was asked just now.
What was not understood about the question that you were asked?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds?
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
What wasn't clear about what I was asking?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
It's the same question.
The objection is sustained. go back and ask the question that he says he didn't understand and rephrase it, please.
Can we kick him out? Because he's visibly just trying to argue at this point. Like, you can see it right now that all he wants to do is argue because he looked the jury in their faces and told them, hey everyone, this scumbag drove directly through the parade. And now he wants to argue with him. I wish that, like, the judge would just say, hey, you know, conduct yourself properly and let's continue with questions, or else we're gonna get you out of here. But really, I just wish they would kick him out. At all times, I wish they would kick him out. So,
Your choice.
Was your sole reason for testifying here today?
Objection,
Asked and answered.
relevance.
Let's let Mr. Brooks get the question out. Go ahead.
Apologize, I thought that was it.
Are you testifying today strictly to prove your case to the jury?
Objection, misstatement of his testimony.
Grounds that that's what he said.
Sustained as to the form of the question, misstates the prior testimony.
That's what he said.
okay, all right.
So why did you decide to testify here today?
Objection, that's a legally inaccurate question, Your Honor.
Please rephrase the question. I'm sustaining the question asked as to the form of the question.
Get the clown show going. All the facial expressions and stuff. This is where I start to get, like, super annoyed. Because it's like, okay, we don't care how you feel about the fact that they said you can't ask this question. So move on. All of the extra, like, this is why... Oh, man. It's really, like, this part of it, too, that gets me, like, super annoyed. Like, the facial expressions are like, what are you guys doing? It's like, what are you doing? What does him looking at the jury have to do with you driving through a parade? Absolutely nothing. So these questions have no relevance. So therefore, we should be looking at you in this way. We are looking at you in this way. But it's just the nerve of this guy to be doing this. Like,
I don't know how I'm supposed to rephrase that.
Attorney, Fisher Price attorney. That's all there is to it.
Without having the same form of the question. That helps.
So what is that? Oh my gosh. No, let it play, let it
There's
play.
an objection, but ask a question, please.
Did you seek to testify here today in this matter?
No.
So how did you ultimately come to that decision?
Objection, that's a misstatement, Your Honor. It was not his decision.
Sustained as to the form of the question assumes a fact, not an evidence.
Were you subpoenaed?
Yes.
Do you recall by whom you were subpoenaed to testify?
District Attorney Sue Opper from the Washington County District Attorney's Office.
And at that time you were subpoenaed, you decided to testify.
I don't believe it's my decision.
That is insane.
Well, it would be fair to say that you didn't have to show up, right? That'd be fair to say?
No, I had to show up.
By law, he has to
Well,
show
would it
up.
be fair to say that you could have chosen not to?
No, it would not be fair to say that.
Gross. He should end the cross-exam now. He had his little argument. I feel like that's really all he... In terms of an actual cross-exam, he can't do it. So that was really all there
Exhibit
should be.
131 that was shown to you. Have you seen that video footage before today?
Yes, I have.
Do you recall who showed it to you before today?
I don't recall who showed it to me.
Would it be fair to say you've seen it multiple times before today?
Yes, I've seen it a number of times.
And do you recall when you were first shown that video?
Not off the top of my head.
Was it the same day of the incident, the days following, sometime after?
I don't recall when I saw the video the first time.
And what about Exhibit 130? Had you seen that video footage before today?
Objection, Your Honor. 130 is the map.
Or the map? Have you seen the map before today? I don't really think it.
Just for the record, I'll sustain the objection.
I mean, it
just
matters
because
because you're a
references the
trash
wrong
attorney.
number, but
Like,
I
you
believe
are
you
awful.
rephrased. So go
You
ahead.
are the
witness
worst to
may
ever
answer.
sit here.
Can I ask the question again, please?
Had you seen the map of Exhibit 130 before today?
Yes, I have.
Multiple times as well?
Yes, numerous times.
Any idea why you viewed it so many times, multiple times?
He's law enforcement. He's a detective
Unsure.
working to get you put in prison where you should be.
Were you able to obtain any more information upon seeing the map numerous times that you didn't obtain when first seeing the map?
No.
I don't even understand what that question was. I'm glad he understood. I couldn't understand what
So
he
it
was
would be
really.
fair to say you pretty much knew what the map was detailing each and every time you saw it.
Yes.
So this is definitely going to be a frustrating one. I'm already like aggravated, but hopefully he goes ahead and just ends the cross exam here.
And on that map,
But not
Exhibit 130, you made reference to at some point the dotted line, and it stops at some point. That'd be fair to say?
Could you be more specific?
The dotted line that was referred to on the map.
Do you want the map brought up? Would that be helpful to you?
Or maybe might be helpful to him.
He's got the large map, but if you want to.
So, if you can see the dotted line on the map behind you,
Yes.
is it fair to say that the dotted line stops at some point around Central Avenue, maybe?
Yes, there's a couple lines that seem to come to Central Avenue or egress out of Central Avenue that do stop.
And you stated that. Well, what was the reason that you stated that line stops, the dotted line?
It stated that it's because we don't know the exact location where you cross the street to get over to Elizabeth Street.
And why? Were there no cameras present at that point, or how did you lose the path of travel at that point?
We didn't find any cameras or any eyewitnesses in that area.
So it would be fair to say at that point you weren't sure what happened.
I know that you crossed the street at some point. We just don't know where.
How do you know that?
Because you were arrested on Elizabeth Street.
Did you see any crossing of, I think you said that was West? Would that be West Avenue that you were referring to, that you don't see any crossing of?
What's your question?
Is that West Avenue that you stated that you didn't see any crossing of?
That is Northwest Avenue.
Or Northwest Avenue, I'm sorry, I don't know the streets. Northwest Avenue. And you don't have any visual footage or any eyewitnesses, as you said, to say for sure if Northwest Avenue was crossed.
We didn't obtain any witness statements or any eyewitness or any video of the suspect crossing the street.
And what day were you doing your part of the investigation? Was that the same evening or the next few days after the incident, or?
Can you clarify which investigation you're talking about?
The one that you took part in. Your part of the investigation.
I don't understand what time frame you're asking for.
What day did you start your part of the investigation?
Well, we started the investigation as soon as he ran people over in the parade.
And you were there?
That is incredible. That is incredible. And once again, I am so happy that he looked the jury directly in their eyes and said, it started the day that he ran through the parade. It's just moments like that. You know, I mean, all the evidence, once again, it points directly to him. I mean, we literally just saw him on camera. The clearest image of him walking through someone's backyard. But even still, like, powerful moments like this where he's making like a definitive statement that he's the one that did this. And I'm just going to say, Darrell's probably going to throw a major tantrum, but who cares? You are the one that did all of that. So, all right.
I responded to the parade after he had done that.
Were you at the parade?
No, I was not.
So it'd be fair to say you were on call?
No, I was not.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know when your part of the investigation started then, right?
It would not be fair to say that.
You don't recall what time it was when you started your part of the investigation?
As soon as I responded.
And you don't recall when you were dispatched to respond?
It's in my report. I don't remember the time exactly, but it's in my report.
And at that time, did you know the identity or name of any alleged suspects at that time that you were dispatched?
The time that I was sent to the city of Waukesha, I did not know the identity of the suspect.
It's weird how he
You made
thinks
reference to a report. Do you recall when you wrote that report, or did you write the report yourself?
Yes, I typically type my own reports.
And do you recall when you submitted that report?
I have no idea what day I submitted the report.
Oh, look at that. This is his first time reading it.
So when you were first dispatched, what did you do?
I drove to the city of Waukesha and met with members at the Waukesha Police Command Unit.
And were you dispatched to any location from that point?
I was not dispatched.
Were you sent to any location from that point?
I was assigned with taking a number of investigators with myself and walking the entire parade route, going from establishment to establishment, bar to bar, restaurant to restaurant, and obtaining phone numbers and names of people who were present at the parade and who had witnessed something and would be followed up with later by a member of the Detective Bureau.
So it would be fair to say you did some interviews at that time?
Yes.
Do you recall how many?
I thought he was trying to insinuate that he did like interviews for money, but I know what he means now.
And after conducting these interviews, what did you do?
I went home.
So at that time, after conducting your interviews and then going back to your home, did you have the name or idea of any suspects at that time?
Yes.
And whom were you told by?
Oh no! Why would you ask this? Oh, I thought he asked who were the names, or like what were the names.
Do you recall who you submitted your typed report to?
I don't understand your question.
Do you recall who you submitted your typed police report to?
No.
I'm assuming your law enforcement agency doesn't type up reports and just leave them sitting on the desk. Would that be fair to say?
That'd be correct.
Any reason why you wouldn't recall who you gave your report to?
Well, it's electronically submitted.
And from there, does it have a specific sergeant or lieutenant or captain or someone that it goes to from that point? If you recall, or if you know?
I wouldn't know.
So it'd be fair to say once you type a report and submit it, you're not sure who sees it.
Correct.
Would you say it's fair that because of you not knowing who your report is submitted to, that your report can be altered in some kind of way? Especially being that you don't know who sees it?
The reports are done via PDF style reporting. It's protected by my username and my password. And when it's submitted, it's usually not altered unless I request it to be altered.
But it is fair to say that there's a possibility that it could be tampered with because you don't know for sure who all sees it.
It's entirely inaccurate.
How so?
My report is accurate. My report is the way that it was written, the way that I wrote it myself.
So you've had a chance to read your submitted report after you submitted it?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, is exactly word for word as you remember typing it?
It is my report. It is what I typed, and it is accurate.
Word for word?
Yes.
Oh, this guy's such a clown. This is a clown. This is one of the most. This is up there with one of the.
Do you recall how many?
I mean, okay, sorry to pause, but it's definitely not up there with like the angriest I've been when like listening to him during a cross exam, or just the way that he is like in the courtroom, period. But it's up there definitely. Like, I didn't know that I would get this annoyed this far into the. Well, no, I did. I did kind of think at this point, you can't really predict what this guy is going to do. But the only thing I was thinking, he keeps saying, like, is it fair to say, is it fair to say? And I see so many comments about that too. Like, all of you guys saying, you never want to hear someone say, is it fair to say again? I feel the exact same way. He does not know how to ask a question in any other way. Like, he doesn't have to start off the questions in that way, but of course he has no idea. Like, he heard the prosecution, I guess early on he heard them say that, and ever since then he's just fallen in love with that way of like starting off a question, when it's like, what, you can just ask a question. You don't have to ask, is it fair to say? But okay, I just wanted to rant for a second. And to take a little second to stop hearing his voice. Because this is just insane.
Pages long the report was.
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. Not relevant. Please move on.
I would say he's a child. He's more immature than a child, though. This is just awful.
Do you recall if the report was lengthy?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question, please.
Grounds for the sustain.
Relevance.
And you stated that you read the report after you submitted it. Do you know how long it was before you were able to see the report that you typed?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Well, he already answered that.
Then I'll object as asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
That question wasn't answered, but okay.
You just said he answered it, but it wasn't.
I see.
He changes his mind all of a sudden.
Do you recall when you typed your report?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. Not relevant.
How's that not relevant if he already answered that he typed the report?
Now he wants to argue with Judge
Please
Darrell.
continue, sir.
He's
Grounds
going to
for
get kicked out
sustain.
today.
Relevance.
He answered that he typed the report. So how's it not relevant if he recalls when he typed it?
Please continue, sir.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm sure that looks great for the jury. For an attorney to make little comments like that. I'm sure the jury thinks he's doing a great job.
Did you file any claim related to this matter?
No.
Do you know of anyone who did?
Did what?
Do you know of anyone who filed a claim in relation to this incident?
No.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this incident?
Objection,
Grounds.
relevance.
You may answer that question. Go ahead.
Can you ask the question again?
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this incident?
Well, plaintiff would be the state of Wisconsin.
Is the state of Wisconsin a human being or entity?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative.
Sustained. On relevance grounds.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff in this incident?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevant, legally inaccurate.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Were you ever contacted by the plaintiff in this incident?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Would you call the state of Wisconsin a living, breathing human being or
Asked and
entity?
answered.
Grounds, because I didn't ask that question.
It's not relevant. Sustained. Next question.
It's very relevant. Seems like there's no plaintiff.
Jury will disregard statements made by
Come
the
on, man.
attorneys
Come on, man.
and
You're
the
trying to
parties.
be
They are
slick.
not evidence. Please
Stop
ask
trying to
a
be
question.
slick. So to your knowledge,
He's
the
breaking.
plaintiff is the state of Wisconsin. Do you see him present in the courtroom today?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Can you
relevance.
identify the plaintiff state of Wisconsin?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Sir, please continue and not on this topic. Next question, please.
To the best of your knowledge, you're not even sure if you've ever even had any interaction with the plaintiff state of Wisconsin, correct?
Objection, argumentative, and compound.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Definitely wasn't compound.
He has no idea what that even means, I bet.
Would you consider yourself an injured party in this incident?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative.
The witness may answer.
No.
Have you read or seen the complaint?
No.
No further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Any redirect?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Detective Rowe should be dismissed, please. And yes, could we get the exhibit?
Yeah, why don't you grab that exhibit and take it? That one has the exhibit sticker, correct?
Yes.
All right, we can keep it by the state for now, and then later on it can be brought over to the clerk.
The clown show he always wanted.
All right, the state may call its next witness.
Is there called February show?
And just because Darrell thinks it's a conspiracy, like everyone's conspiring against him, and like everyone wants to take money or something like that.
Good afternoon,
I just want to
sir.
remind
If you
everyone.
please make your way
Hold on.
to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in. Do we need this easel up? No.
Okay. I just want to remind everyone there are links pinned at the top of the comment section if you would like to donate to the community of Waukesha. Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone of that. Since he thinks everyone is conspiring against him and that, you know, everyone wants to take money or something like that, there you go.
All right. We're going to have...
Yeah, or Detective Ragland can retrieve it.
Yes.
She's got it.
Great. Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. Please remain standing. Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Ryan Schultz, RyanSchultz.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you employed?
I work for the Wisconsin State Patrol.
How long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement since 2014.
Have all those years been with the Wisconsin State Patrol?
Yes.
What is your current position?
My current position is the mechanical inspector for the Wisconsin State Patrol Technical Reconstruction Unit.
Can you describe the duties of that position?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
My job basically is to conduct thorough and systematic inspections of vehicles that have been involved in crashes. That can entail something as simple as taking photographs and looking at light bulbs to something more in depth, or actually take the vehicles apart and actually look at the moving parts of the vehicles.
Okay, so this is another example of why I said, like, it's interesting once you hear of what people's, like, their occupation and what their actual position is in terms of the entire investigation. You can kind of figure out what information they're about to offer right now. So now we know that we're about to get into the actual evidence that they have surrounding the vehicle and like the actual mechanical functions of it. And, you know, hopefully we get to dispel like the idea that there were mechanical issues. I mean, we know there weren't mechanical issues, but Darrell tries to touch on that ever so slightly to say that, oh, this is the reason why, like, I couldn't stop the vehicle. But at the same time, I'm not Darrell Brooks. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get into some of that, so.
Did you receive any training in order to perform those duties?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Can you briefly describe that training for the jury?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
A lot of the training that I received was on the job from prior inspectors. Prior to this, I was a diesel mechanic, and in addition to that, I have ASE and SAE certifications.
And having any interest in cars, what are those certifications?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Foundational. The witness may answer.
SAE is for the electrical components in a car, basically, for the part that I am certified in. ASE is for the mechanical components, which stands for the Automotive Service Excellence, is what I believe it stands for.
What is the purpose of a mechanical inspection?
The purpose of a mechanical inspection is to determine if there was anything that was incorrect, defective, or broken on a vehicle prior to the crash that would have caused the vehicle itself to cause or contribute to the crash.
On December 6, 2021, were you directed to go to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab to view a vehicle?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer. It's foundational. Go ahead.
Yes.
What information did you have prior to going to that location?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The information that I was given is that I was to set up an appointment there to look at a Ford Escape that had been involved in a crash in the parade in Waukesha.
Did you go to that location on that date?
Yes, I did.
Did you do a mechanical inspection of the vehicle that you were sent to look at?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
After performing your inspection, did you draft a report?
Yes, I did.
And did that report contain the findings of your mechanical inspection from December 6th?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
I provided to you, prior to you going up on the stand, what's been marked as State's Exhibit 83. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
Can you briefly identify it for how it's labeled, how many pages it consists of?
What exhibit is that?
Exhibit 83.
It's the Crash Reconstruction Mechanical Inspection Report.
The whole report is exhibit 83?
Correct.
Yes.
The whole report?
Go ahead. I haven't ruled on it yet, so go ahead and ask your questions, Attorney Daisy.
Sir, how many pages does this report consist of?
10.
And that is front and back sides?
Correct.
Objection.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
And on the face sheet of Exhibit 83, what information does it contain on that as it relates to this investigation?
At the top, it contains case number and recon number, which match my name, the reconstructionist, and then it begins the report and vehicle identification information, and then on the bottom, it's marked with exhibit number 83.
What car were you inspecting?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
2010 Ford Escape.
And what color was it?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Red.
And the license plate number associated with that vehicle?
A. Adam, D. David, P. Paul, 9256.
And on the report, the vehicle identification number on Exhibit 83, where did that information come from?
The vehicle identification number I verify on the inside of the door jamb of the vehicle. There's two VINs on each vehicle. One's a public VIN under the windshield, and one is inside the door jamb of the vehicle. I always use the one inside the door jamb of the vehicle first, take note of it, and then cross-reference it with the public VIN on the vehicle to make sure that they both match.
And did they in this case?
Objection. I have the 10 pages, and nowhere on here does it say exhibit. Nowhere on here.
That's because it was marked for purposes of trial. It has an exhibit sticker now. So your objection's noted. It's overruled, and the
Why am I
witness.
not privy to the same?
The witness may answer the question. It's been marked as an exhibit. Go ahead, sir.
Can you restate the question? I forgot what it was.
How stupid can you be? This
I
is
did
just
too,
so
but let's go
insane.
with this one. Is the VIN number that you saw on the door, you said that you cross-referenced it with the VIN number, public VIN number. Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And did they match?
Yes.
Does it give a drivetrain description on that first page or front page?
Yes, it does.
And first of all, I don't know what that means, but what is that?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Drivetrain description describes the drive of the vehicle, basically how it's operated on the roadway. So in this case, it's an automatic transmission, doesn't have a clutch, you don't have to shift the gears, and it's front wheel drive, meaning that it's not all wheel drive or rear wheel drive like a pickup truck, it's just front wheel drive.
And is there a picture on the front of Exhibit 83?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. Just a reminder to wait until I've ruled on any objection. Thank you.
Yes.
And what is that picture of?
It's a picture of the 2010 Escape.
That you did the mechanical inspection on?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes,
Have you authored this report?
I did.
Have you had a chance to review it since you've authored it?
Yes.
Is the information contained within this report accurate?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, it is.
I would move State's Exhibit 83 into evidence.
Objection.
Your objection's noted. It is overruled. Exhibit 83 is received.
So is my paperwork ever going to say Exhibit 83, or is it just going to be this?
Mr. Brooks, I'll take that up outside the presence of the jury later, but we're going to continue.
It
Go
was brought
ahead.
up in front of the jury.
Mr. Brooks, we're going to continue with the questioning.
Can
of
we
this
kick him
witness.
out? Because now he's in his little baby boy mood, and it's like when he gets into this headspace, which he's like this the entire time, but when he gets into this like mode where he's happy that he has an audience, because that's all this is. He's happy that they're acknowledging him and they're like interacting with him, and now he's just trying to keep the ball rolling, and he just wants them to keep talking to him and seeing like, oh, I'm not happy with it. We don't care, dude. Just I hope we kick him out, man.
Y'all trying to pull it, man.
Mr. Brooks, please.
This is
No one's. The
Please, nothing.
exhibit, to my understanding, has previously been provided to you. You have it. It's now been marked as an exhibit for trial
Y'all got
purposes.
something I don't have, though.
It's their
Go ahead.
exhibit.
It's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be.
Oh
fair.
my god.
Attorney Basie, I trust that this was previously turned over.
It was, and I believe the defendant has a copy of it in front of him.
Thank
And
you.
where does
Please
it say
continue.
Exhibit 83? It doesn't say that this was going to
Again,
be
we'll take
used
this
as
up
an
outside the
exhibit.
presence of the jury later. It's not something we need to do right now. Go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would object and move to strike from the record any commentary that the defendant was making in the last 5 minutes.
What was that?
Court will strike the commentary that was made. I'm not sure if it was picked up or not, but as a reminder to the jurors, the statements made by parties and lawyers are not evidence. The testimony and other evidence that's received is the evidence the jury will ultimately consider. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, can you briefly describe the condition of the vehicle when you inspected it on December 6th?
Yeah, the vehicle had quite a bit of front end damage. The bumper cover was pushed back, the grille was pushed back into the engine bay and into the radiator. That was also pushed backwards in towards the engine. The hood was folded up in the air. Both lights were broken out of the front. There was quite a bit of debris and unknown things stuck to the exterior of the vehicle, and there was also some damage to the sides of the vehicle.
Do you know why you had to go to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab in order to do the inspection?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
I was requested to go to the state crime lab to do the inspection because they had not yet completed DNA sampling, so until they had it finished, it was going to be retained inside the crime lab. So in the interest of not moving the vehicle again, once they were done with DNA, they had me come to the crime lab to do the testing and inspection.
So the first section of your report, and I'm just going to direct your attention to page 3 of Exhibit 83, talks about the tires and the suspension and tie rods. Do you see that?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury what part of the inspection, describe this part of the inspection?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. The report's been received by the court, and the state may direct the witness to various points at its discretion.
When was it made an exhibit? Because I wasn't aware of that.
Go ahead, Attorney Basie. You may continue.
Thank you. Sir, can you describe the information contained in the first section of the report under the heading tires, wheels, steering, suspension, brakes?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
So under this section, it's broken down into 4 parts. One for axle 1 left, which is the driver's side front axle. The left side would refer to it as you're sitting in the vehicle facing forward. The right side would refer to the passenger side. So axle 1 is the frontmost axle. Axle 2 is the rearmost, left and right, and it breaks each individual wheel end component systems down. And then from that, I take each one apart and inspect them thoroughly: brakes, tires, steering components on the front axle, obviously, suspension condition, and anything else that's at the wheel end that I can inspect.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
What observations did you make?
First, on axle 1 left, which would be the driver's side front, the tie rod end was worn. About 1/8 of an inch of play in the tie rod end, in the ball joint itself. So when you turn the steering wheel or turn the wheel, there was a little bit of play in the tie rod. Still attached, still intact, still functioning, still able to steer the vehicle, but just worn to the point that it needed replacement before it got any worse.
Was that something that would create any problems in operating the car, for example, on November 21st, 2021?
Objection is speculative.
Overruled, this witness may answer. Hold on, he's been qualified under 907-02. I direct your attention to 907-02 through 907-07, Mr. Brooks. Go ahead.
I don't consider being called that name, and that's referring to a specific date. How do we know that's not speculation?
The objection's noted, it's overruled, the witness may answer.
It would not. The vehicle would still steer and drive just the same as any other vehicle. It would just have play in the steering wheel, and it would make a little bit of a clunking noise potentially when you turn the wheel. You would maybe hear a clunking noise from that left front tie rod.
Again, operationally, the person driving that car wouldn't have any trouble steering based upon that issue?
Not at all.
Okay. What other observations did you make?
Other observations I made were that all the tires were evenly worn on all 4 axle ends. I believe it was the left rear, the left rear axle, the tire on that axle was bigger than the other 3. So there's also a chart referenced later in my report that shows the difference between the 2. The tires that are recommended to be on the vehicle are size 235/70 R16, which was what was equipped on the vehicle, except on the left rear, which was 245/75 R16, which is 1 full size bigger in dimension and aspect ratio.
What, if any, impact would that have on how a person's ability to drive that vehicle?
So 1 size bigger in tire is usually not the end of the world, being that it's the single tire. It can have an effect, but it's on the rear of the vehicle. Being a front-wheel drive vehicle, the speeds are reported off of the front axle of that vehicle. So that's where the speedometer would get its speeds from. The only time it would be notable would be during a heavy ABS brake application, and that would be at a higher rate of speed with full brake application where the ABS system kicks in on the vehicle. That's where it could be noticeable, and by could be, I mean the sizes are very similar. They're about 1.5 inches in difference. Revolutions per mile are not that far apart. The ABS system might not even pick up a difference between the 2.
When you say at higher speeds, are we talking, what are we talking?
Higher
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Higher speeds, I mean something like highway speeds, 55 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour or greater.
Any other observations made with regard to in that area?
The only other observations that I made were that all the brakes were in good working condition and had adequate thickness left on the brake pads for stopping of the vehicle. All 4 brakes were in good working shape and they were able to be locked at the time of inspection.
And that's exactly why I'm glad they brought him here. Because Darrell's main point was that he couldn't, well, not his main point, but one of his arguments is that the brakes didn't work. So now that's completely out the window. I mean, it never was going to hold up anyway, but I'm just glad that it's gone now at this point.
So, and let me clarify if I didn't ask you this. The information you were provided was that this vehicle was involved in a crash?
Objection. Ask and answer.
Overruled, given the nature of the testimony being provided. The state may clarify that. So go ahead, you may answer.
Yes.
And did
Yep,
you?
that's right.
Do you know the date of that?
It was overruled.
I know it was in November. I don't know the exact date.
Okay, thank you. So with regards to the braking system, was there anything, did you find anything at all in your inspection of that vehicle that would have caused the brakes not to work or not to work effectively on the date of the crash or prior to the crash?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
No, I did not.
Actually, since your inspection took place after the crash, would that be your same answer with regard to, as it was on December 6, 2021, there were no brake problems?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
That is correct. The brakes still functioned at the time of inspection fully.
What was the next area that you then inspected?
The next area that I inspected was the electronic system and general cabin system of the vehicle, cabin being where the occupants sit inside of the vehicle. I did that by examining light bulbs on the exterior of the vehicle and then systematically working my way into the vehicle where I could.
What observations did you make in that area?
Both headlights were, the lenses were damaged, but the lights were still working. The lights were in the high beam position and in the automatic position from the driver's cabin.
What does that indicate?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
So that indicates that when the vehicle was left at the last time, that the vehicle headlights were in the automatic position, meaning that if it's dark enough out that the headlights would turn themselves on, and the selector stick was in the high beam position, meaning that the last time the lights were in use, they were in high beam mode.
Thank you. Continue
on. From there, just examine the throttle linkage, horn, and the other driver controls from inside the cabin.
So let's talk about the throttle controls. First of all, what is that?
So
Leading. Objection.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Everyone's familiar with the throttle pedal in the vehicle. You press the pedal, and it makes the vehicle accelerate. From there, on this specific vehicle, it's an electronic signal that is transferred from the throttle pedal to the throttle body on the vehicle's engine on the intake. That electrical signal opens a butterfly valve, which allows more air and fuel into the engine, speeds the engine up. If you let off the throttle, it reduces and closes that valve. On this particular vehicle, I checked the throttle pedal first inside the cab. It was free moving, no binding, no obstructions. I was able to smoothly press it to the floor and release it, and it acted just as it should. From there, I went under the hood of the vehicle. On this particular vehicle, the crime lab asked that I did not open the hood just because of the amount of DNA evidence on the front of the vehicle. They didn't want me to come in contact with anything, so they asked that I not open the hood if at all possible, which on this vehicle, I was able to still access the throttle because of the way the hood was bent up in the air. I was able to actually reach in from the side of the vehicle and access the throttle body components through the damaged hood portion where I normally would not have been able to reach. From there, I was able to look at the exterior of the throttle, and everything was in clean, clear working condition, no visible damage, no visible issues. I removed the intake tubing from the engine and inspected the actual throttle plate itself, which was in the closed position. Closed position indicates either an idle or that the vehicle is turned off. I was able to then actuate the butterfly valve itself from fully closed to fully open, and when I released it, it went back to fully closed just as designed by Ford.
Did there appear to be any problems with the throttle?
No, there was not.
I'm just gonna, I know you call it a throttle, I call it a gas pedal. It's one and the same, correct?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
What is the difference between a gas pedal and a throttle?
Nothing.
Thank you. What was your next area?
The next area I went on to was the seat belts inside the vehicle. And then from there, I actually was able to test the vehicle for function.
Did you then come to a conclusion section of your report?
I did.
And is that starting on page 5 of 10?
Yes.
Okay. Did you check the power steering system?
I did.
And what observations did you make of that?
Aside from the ball joint that was loose that I described earlier, the entire rest of the power steering system was intact and functioning properly.
So there are no problems that would cause the car not to steer appropriately?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Did you observe any problems with regard to the steering?
Aside from the ball joint, no.
Thank you. Now, in your report, you indicate a gross vehicle weight rating. Did you see that on page 5 of 10?
Objection relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
What is that?
The gross vehicle weight rating is the amount of weight that the vehicle can physically carry safely, and that number is administered by the manufacturer.
So that includes people within that car? Is that what you're saying?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer based upon his training and experience.
Yes, that would include all the vehicle weight, occupants, and cargo.
And the curb weight, what is that? I mean, generally, what is it now?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer based upon his training and experience.
The curb weight of the vehicle is the weight of the vehicle as it rolls off the floor at the assembly plant. And that's without fuel and coolant and oil and things like that. And it's a dry weight of the vehicle. It's what the vehicle itself, with nothing in it, physically weighs.
Thank you. If someone had reported hearing a clicking sound while this car was driving in front of them, was there anything that you found in your report that would be consistent with a clicking sound being heard?
Objection hearsay.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
There was a lot of damage to the front of the vehicle. It would be impossible to say what a clicking noise could come from, being as there's a lot of moving components under the hood with the belt pulley, the engine fan, things like that. Anything could be stuck in a tire. It would be impossible to say if there would be a clicking noise from this vehicle. I was actually not able to drive it physically to test it. I was only able to just start it.
Can I ask why you were unable to drive it?
Objection relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
There's actually two reasons I was unable to drive it. One, again, with DNA evidence on the exterior of the vehicle. Two, there wasn't enough gas in the vehicle to move it.
Okay.
And I was just going to say really quick, Darrell's questions are so stupid. Like, I'm sitting here and, like, as I listen to him, I'm trying to figure out what stuff Darrell is going to ask when his cross-exam comes up. So I'd imagine he's going to ask, Well, how do you know the vehicle can do all of these things if you never even drove it? You said you can't drive it, right? So therefore, how do you know it can do any of the things that you just said? Even though he never got into the actual, like, can it drive? Like, he never said that he was going to give details on that. He's just giving details on based on how the components are in the vehicle and if they're in working condition, if the vehicle could function properly based on that. But he'll still try to say, oh, well, you didn't physically drive it, so how can you say it can do any of the things that you're saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing. His
So the car was on
arguments
empty
make no
when you observed it?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
How much gas was in the car when you inspected it?
Objection leading. Answer.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
There was, the gauge read E for empty, and the notation on the infotainment center originally said 2 miles to empty, and then on the second key cycle it said 1 mile to empty.
When you said key cycle, when you started it, or when you turned the key, what observations, if any, did you make?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
So when I tried to start the vehicle, it was very sluggish. It turned over, but it wouldn't fire, it wouldn't do anything. And then it made like a hiccup sound, like it was going to try to start, mimicking basically a vehicle that's out of fuel. And when I tried turning the key again, then the vehicle actually did start, did idle, and did run like it was supposed to. That's when I saw that the fuel gauge, the distance to empty gauge, went from 2 miles to 1 mile, indicating that the vehicle was very much so out of fuel almost. And I recorded this with my camera, and I tapped the throttle to do a rev test on the engine. The engine revved and went back to an idle. When it went back to an idle the second time, it then sputtered and turned off.
Which would indicate what?
Would indicate that it's not getting enough fuel to run correctly.
Thank you. Now, if a witness had testified that when the vehicle went in front of them, they heard a high-pitched, like a revving sound, based upon your examination, what would that be consistent with?
Objection hearsay.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
There's a lot of different things that could cause that. It could be heavy acceleration from someone pressing the throttle on a vehicle. It could be noise that is amplified because the engine bay is now open to the exterior, so you can hear the engine noises coming from the engine bay of the vehicle. It could be an exhaust-related item. It could be a lot of different things, to be honest.
When you were doing an examination of the undercarriage of the vehicle, did you observe a muffler?
No, I did not.
I want to show you what's been previously admitted, Exhibit 73. It'll show on the screen in front of you, and I'd ask that it be published as well.
Objection leading.
Overruled. Permission to publish 73.
Sir, do you see the picture that's marked Exhibit 73? It's not actually marked, but it is Exhibit 73.
I do.
What is depicted in that photograph?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled based on his training and experience. The witness may answer.
That it appears to be an exhaust muffler and a couple chunks of wood and overturned dirt.
The muffler that's observed in this picture, would that be consistent or inconsistent with a 2010 Ford Escape?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. This witness may answer and provide an opinion. Go ahead.
By just looking at a picture.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Y'all think y'all
You can cross-examine the witness about that, sir.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
got to. Y'all trying to pull a fast one.
It is a vehicle muffler
baby.
without seeing the ends of it and where
What
the
a
inlet
child
outlet
you
are
are.
and actual measurements. It would be impossible to see what vehicle it came from, but it is an automotive muffler.
And sir, at the end of your inspection, do you come to a conclusion with regard to the mechanical fitness of this vehicle?
I do.
And what was that conclusion?
My conclusion was that The tie rod on the left front end of the vehicle that's responsible for steering, the joint was worn and had been worn prior to the crash. This is not something that just happens immediately or overnight. If it would have been due to crash damage that this was damaged, I would expect to have seen a lot more impact in that area with bent metal or distorted items. The tie rods are very tough parts, so that to me indicates that it was worn prior to the crash occurring, and the tire, obviously unless somebody changed it in between the crash occurring and my inspection, the tire was a different size than the other three prior to the crash, and it had been driven like that. I did not see any issues from the tie rod affecting steering as far as it relates to the alignment of the vehicle. Once things are worn and they start to get excessively worn, they manifest themselves in incorrect tire wear. Tire might chop or feather. That was not present on this vehicle. Had the left rear tire been an issue on the vehicle, I would have expected to see that manifest itself in an ABS, which is an anti-lock brake system failure or a trouble code in the vehicle. When I ran the vehicle and with the key in the ignition in the on position, there were no diagnostic trouble codes present on this vehicle indicating any issue whatsoever.
And two things that I guess I need to cover. Do you check to see if there are any recalls of a vehicle in coming to your conclusion?
Objection, speculative, and do we still need this exhibit?
Thank you. We can take that down, and your objection's noted. It's overruled. The witness may answer.
I do check for recalls, yes.
Were there any on this vehicle?
There were not recalls on this vehicle. There was only an extended service warranty from Ford, which had since elapsed due to the mileage on the vehicle.
Now, you talked about the brake system in terms of the brake pedal within the car and its that it was operating correctly. Do you recall that testimony?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. It's foundational. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
Now, when a person activates that brake pedal, what is happening within the car?
There's actually a lot of things that happen within the car when you activate the brake pedal. When you press the brake pedal, it pushes on it's called a push rod, but it actually pulls on it. It pulls on the rod, which goes into the brake master cylinder, and that master cylinder is what pumps hydraulic fluid from the brake fluid reservoir to each independent wheel. On this vehicle, it's equipped with anti-lock brakes. It goes through an ABS modulator first. From there, it sends a signal out to stop or slow down, depending on the amount of pressure that you apply inside the cab. Depends on how much braking force you get at the wheel ends. In a very heavy brake application, as I had discussed before, where the vehicle is still trying to maintain momentum, the ABS system can override, and that's where you would get the vibration in the pedal that many of you may have felt before. That's your ABS system doing its job, not allowing the wheels to lock themselves up. What it's actually doing is pulsating the fluid in the vehicle.
And when you talk about brake pads, how do the brake pads, where are they located, and how do they relate to the pressing down of a brake pedal?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
So when the brake fluid reaches each wheel end, there's a set of calipers with pistons, and those pistons actually come out and they act like a clamp, and they squeeze the two brake pads together. They're located between the two sides of the piston and on the exterior of the brake rotor, and what that does is it creates a pinching motion, and that pinching motion slows the rotation of the disc down, which is the brake disc, which is attached to the wheel hub. And that's what slows your vehicle.
And just for the record, he was using his right hand to demonstrate kind of a squeezing motion. He had it, and I would describe his hand in a C motion, maybe 3 to 4 inches between the thumb and the fingers, and then pressing together a couple of inches.
Thank you.
She does an incredible job of just off the cuff explaining what it is that they're doing. Every time she does it, I'm like, how is she able to do that? Like, if I was in that situation where I had to explain or describe what it is that they're doing, it would take me at least a few seconds, but yeah.
Are there any other components to the braking system in a car?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
There's a parking brake system in the vehicle.
But other than that, so you've covered every aspect of the braking system in this particular vehicle, is that correct?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I have.
Did you observe anything at all that would have prohibited this vehicle from stopping if the brake pedal had been applied?
No.
Well, there it is. And he's sitting here trying to think of something that he can look. He's going to argue that point. I'm really sure he's going to argue that point that I was thinking of before, or that I was making before.
Is there anything that you observed or documented with it during or in your mechanical inspection report that would have contributed to the crashes that this car was involved in?
Objection. That's the answer.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any cross-exams?
Here we go.
During your inspection, did you see any bullet holes?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall where? Back up. Do you recall how many bullet holes you observed?
I do not recall a number of them. No, I knew there were more than one.
The ones that you observed, do you recall where they were?
I do believe one might have exited through either the windshield or rear window, and one was in the side of the vehicle, if I remember correctly.
And did you find any shell casings?
No, I did not.
And you said you did the inspection on December 6th?
That's correct.
Do you know if the vehicle had been do you know if anyone attempted to start the vehicle in between that time of the crash and your inspection?
Not to my knowledge, no.
But you don't know for sure?
That's correct.
You made reference to the left rear tire being bigger than the other tires.
Yes.
Can you give a little bit more clarity on how that would affect the vehicle?
So one larger tire on the vehicle would obviously make the vehicle lean ever so slightly away from whichever side is larger than the other. In this case, the amount of difference between the two tires, it's about 1.5 inches in difference in radius. So in radius, you get half of that amount in height. So it would be about 3/4 of an inch difference in height. That amount of difference is not noticeable in a vehicle. The other thing that it would cause is premature tire wear from one side to the other over time, to where one tire might wear faster than the other. The suspension might not act correctly because it's not at the same ride height anymore. So eventually over time, those are things I would expect to potentially see from that. Each vehicle acts differently with different size tires on it. There's no one size fits all.
Darrell has no.
So different vehicles act differently to having a bigger fitting tire.
Yes.
You made reference to it to a vehicle leaning away from the side that's bigger.
Correct.
Would that in any way create a slight pull to the vehicle to either side?
In my experience, that small amount would not, no.
And you made reference to the high beams. I don't remember exactly what you said referring to the high beams. I guess you made reference to them being used at some point.
The high beams were activated when I did my inspection, meaning that when the headlights are on, they were in high beam mode. The selector stick was pressed forward for the high beams.
Why would a vehicle use high beams?
Usually a driver uses high beams to see better or to illuminate things better.
So that would
Oh no.
primarily refer to if it was nighttime?
Correct.
So wait, is he trying to say that he couldn't see all of those people, therefore that's why he ran over just multiple people in this parade, because he couldn't see them? So could he not hear them as well in the moment? And like, this is insane. I mean, I don't even know if that's what he's getting at, so I'm not gonna try to like frustrate myself prematurely, but I'll go ahead and let it play.
Would you say, with your expertise, it wouldn't make sense for a vehicle to use high beams in the daytime?
There are limited uses for them in the daytime, yes.
And what are some of the uses from your knowledge?
Generally, the high beams shine brighter, so even with sunlight shining on them, other vehicles can see them. It's a thing that we use on the highway as law enforcement sometimes. We'll use the high beams at a crash scene. We'll turn the high beams on so oncoming traffic coming in during the daytime sees that brighter light from the vehicle. It's just a little bit of the thing to help oncoming vehicles see.
So it would essentially be for identification purposes?
Not so much for identification, no.
Well, what do you mean when you refer to for oncoming traffic to be able to?
More for visibility is what I mean, so that it stands out to the other traffic. It doesn't look like it belongs because the lights look very bright. It gets the other driver's attention, the same as the red and blue lights on the top of the cars.
Gets them to notice that law enforcement is present.
Correct.
That's what I meant by ID purpose, for them to be able to see.
Then yes.
Does she want a trophy? Are we supposed to stop the trial and give you a trophy for that?
Were you able to inspect the entire engine?
I was not able to inspect the entire engine.
And what parts of the engine were you not able to inspect?
The only parts that I was unable to inspect would be down in the front by the belt pulleys area. I could see that the radiator was pushed into it, but I couldn't see what components had been damaged by that, as far as like water pump or anything like that. And I do not usually take the engines down, meaning I don't take them apart as part of my inspection anyways. My main under the hood inspection components would be non-engine related, aside from the throttle.
You made reference to the water pump. Did you notice any water leaking?
Yes, there was coolant that had leaked from the vehicle.
From the water pump?
I don't know where it actually had leaked from, but I know that there was a lack of coolant in the vehicle. It could have come from a lot of various different places. It was no longer leaking when I saw it. It was empty.
So you didn't actually observe it leaking?
Correct.
Yeah. And that image I saw of the SUV is like, it is insane how the very front of it was just mangled like that.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know where the leaking came from?
That's correct.
Were you told that the vehicle was leaking?
No, it just has a low coolant level, meaning it leaked from someplace or it had never been filled properly.
So at that time, it'd be fair to say you weren't sure if it had been filled properly or if it was leaking?
Either is possible.
He just said that.
But it'd be fair to say you didn't know for sure which of the two?
Correct.
so serious. This is like super annoying to me. I'm sorry if it's coming off on camera, but it's just.
You made reference to a loose ball joint. Can you give a little bit more clarity on exactly what is a ball joint?
So the ball joint is at the wheel end. When you turn your steering wheel in your vehicle, there's a shaft attached to the wheel. It goes down to a rack and pinion system. The pinion is a round gear. The rack is a flat piece of metal with gear teeth on it. As you turn, it pushes the tie rods left and right. As you turn left and right, on the end of each of those tie rods is a ball and socket joint, much like the hip joint on a human being. It's a ball that fits inside of a socket, and what that does is it allows the wheel to turn left and right as it's being pushed by the tie rod without any binding or any issues in between.
And okay, and coming from somebody that knows not much about like the inner components of a vehicle, he's describing it really well to where even I can comprehend what he's saying. Like I can imagine what it is that he's describing. But yeah, just wanted to pause to say that.
That is clarity. I don't know anything about cars, so. And you said there was a loose ball joint?
Yes, the left front was loose.
And to what effect could that affect the vehicle?
The amount that it was loose, it would only wear more with more use. As those components start to wear down, they start to have a little play. The longer the vehicle is operated without proper repairs, the worse the play gets. The worse the play gets, then you can start having issues with improper tire wear and so on and so forth, until it gets to the point that it actually separates. The ball and socket themselves will separate from each other.
And then what happens at that point?
If the ball and socket joints separate, you would lose steering at that wheel. The other wheel would still be able to steer.
From your inspection, can you tell roughly how long this ball joint was loose?
I cannot tell exactly how long, no. I can say that it was loose before the crash occurred, just based on the fact that it was worn, not broken.
So with your expertise, would it be fair to say that needed to be taken care of?
Yes, that needed to be corrected.
And you made reference to the gas. The vehicle having difficulty starting. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And reference to the axles. You made reference to taking them off the vehicle?
The axle I do not take off of the vehicle at all.
What did you do in regards to the axle?
The axle ends, wheel ends, that's where the brake components are mounted. So I remove the wheel and tire from the actual axle end.
I think that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I misquoted. I know you made some reference to removing something. I just assumed you meant the axle.
Okay.
When you inspect the axle and remove, you said the wheel?
Yes.
What is being inspected at that point?
So when I remove the wheel and tire from the vehicle, I remove all four of them one at a time, and that's where I actually look at the brake components themselves, being the brake pads, the brake calipers, pistons inside the caliper, brake rotors, and then I get a better view of the tie rod that I was just speaking about, because it's actually next to the wheel on the axle end of the vehicle.
You said the tire rod?
The tie rod, ball joint that was loose.
Oh, okay. So I think you just were clear about the ball joint and tire rod. Is there a difference between the two?
Yes, the ball joint is the joint itself, and it's on the end of the tie rod.
Did you notice anything wrong with the tie rod? The actual tie rod, not the ball joint?
No, there was nothing wrong with the tie rod.
Am I the only one that, like, it seems as if Darrell is asking questions as if he's talking to a mechanic, kind of like he's talking almost as if he's gonna get the vehicle back, and he's just trying to see what needs to be dealt with the SUV. Like, it's weird. And he's talking about, oh, I don't understand cars that much, and it's almost as if he's trying to gather information that he can use to get the vehicle back. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me thinking that that's what he's doing, but, like, I don't know. It just seems as if he's asking questions in that way to where it's like he almost just wants to know how to take care of his SUV or something weird like that. Like, he's so strange that I could see him doing that. Similar to when he was the medical examiner. He did something along those lines. He was asking questions about a gun and things that just had nothing to do with this trial, and he kind of just went off on a whole other thing. But that's what it kind of feels like.
On page 9 of your report, and you did give some clarity to this, I'm just curious to know, on page 9, well, first of all, you wrote this report yourself, correct?
Yes.
On page 9, the second sentence, I'm assuming you still have the exhibit 83?
Yes, sir.
It says, I noted a worn tie rod end on the left front wheel end. Was that in reference to the ball joint and not the tie rod?
Yes. They're one and the same. The tie rod end is a ball joint. It's two different ways to refer to the same component.
Okay, I was clarity. It doesn't say ball joint right here. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
It's like he's just trying to learn about how he's okay. It just seems that way.
And what is the high mount brake lamp?
The high mount brake lamp is on the back of the vehicle. You have the right brake light and turn signal, left brake light and turn signal, and then there's the third brake light that's like usually in the rear window or at the top of the back of the hatch of the vehicle. That's the high mount brake lamp.
Okay. And it was inoperable when you inspected it?
That's correct. Both of those were inoperable during inspection.
So they didn't work?
Correct.
So it'd be fair to say if someone was viewing the vehicle from behind, they would be able to see because those were inoperable?
Yes, at the time of inspection, those lights did not work.
And you also stated that it is unknown if they were working prior to the crash or damage during the crash. That'd be fair to say?
That's correct.
That you would know either way?
No, I would not have a way to tell when that light bulb went out.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect? Before you do that, I'm just going to hold my jury stand for a second. Go ahead.
They definitely need a moment to stand after that. Hopefully they didn't fall asleep, because let's just say there are a lot of pauses I'm gonna have to edit out here. He took like whole 5-minute breaks, like not even exaggerating. I mean maybe a little bit. At least 3 minutes though between each question. So we'll have to edit those out.
So you testified on cross-examination that the right and high mount brake lamp were inoperable. Do you recall that?
Yes.
How about the left brake lamp? Was that operable or inoperable?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
The left stop lamp was working.
Now, sir, just going back again to this ball joint, you stated that, I guess, was your testimony and cross-examination that unless the ball and socket is separated, you can still safely operate that vehicle?
Objection. Mischaracterizes what was said.
Based on the form of the question, I'll allow the witness to answer.
Yes.
And the ball and the socket on this vehicle, were they separated?
They were not.
Darrell's
Now,
actually trying out
your
some different.
inability to fully inspect the engine, I want to direct you to that area of the vehicle. Does the engine control acceleration?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
No, it requires driver input.
Does the engine control braking?
No, it does not.
Does the engine control steering?
Objection. What is the relevancy?
Overruled, the witness may answer.
No, it does not.
Does the engine control gear shifting?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
It does not.
Finally, sir, you had talked about actually coolant or some type of water. I wasn't sure if you're talking about the water pump or the radiator. Do you know what was leaking, if anything?
Objection. Asked and answered during cross.
Overruled, the witness may answer. It's redirect.
Yes, so water pump, water coolant, it's all interchangeable as far as the cooling system for the engine goes. And the coolant system was low at the time of inspection and had been leaking, but from where I do not know.
And again, does that control the steering,
No,
the braking,
no,
the acceleration?
no.
Finally, sir, you had talked about on cross-examination the presence of the high beams being on during the daylight. Do you recall that line of questioning?
Yes,
Specifically, you had indicated that sometimes the state patrol uses their high beams during the day. What was that for?
Objection. That was answered.
Overruled, the witness may answer. It's redirect.
to increase visibility.
Is that of any assistance if a vehicle is coming up behind people?
Objection. Speculative.
Based on his training and experience, I will allow him to answer.
No.
Thank you.
That's a
Nothing
good
further.
point.
All
That's
right,
a
thank
really
you.
good
You may
point.
step down.
Look, his
I will
mind
take
is
that,
breaking.
sir.
This dude is, oh man.
And
He's a
once the
clown
witness
beyond anything I could ever
passes,
explain.
I'll excuse the jury for an afternoon break. It's just about 3:06. We'll take about 15 minutes. All right.
And I'll get a thumbnail really quick.
Guys, for the jury.
This is a really yeah, I never anticipate like how frustrated I'm gonna get for these. So I don't even know why like I touching that stuff. Please pan the camera over to somewhere else because I don't even like to see the little performance he puts on like in between. These moments are like the most annoying. Just anytime like the exaggerated facial expressions and
seated.
stuff, I can't take it. It's insane.